player that could play that type of DVD. Lots of complications along the way. Video files are usually enormous, so sharing them wasn't working through email or text messages. We had to create links to those videos in the cloud. And then the screens on which people are watching videos these days are now entirely unpredictable. You don't know if somebody is going to be watching your video holding a phone this way. You don't know if they're going to be watching your video holding the phone this way. You don't know if they're going to be watching it on a big monitor on their desktop or if they're going to be watching it on an iPad. It's just you really have very little control over the way people watch your videos nowadays. Why that matters is because you may shoot a video entirely in landscape or long ways, the horizon way. The way we all grew up watching cinema was landscape. You may shoot a video in landscape, but somebody ends up watching it on a portrait device and it's really tiny. So the question to start with here is, what do you want to create content for? And that varies so wildly from person to person. Some people have a YouTube channel for their hobby and they create content for that YouTube channel. And they're doing it daily, and that's their daily grind. They're really good at getting their content filmed and getting it into the editor and getting it edited the way they want it with the sounds and the colorization they want. This is a content creator living the life of a content creator. Many tools are at their disposal, and they're utilizing those to create compelling content. Well, that's not everybody, though. Some of us twice a year will do something interesting, like go to a zoo or visit family in another state, hit Disney, amusement park, something like this. Well, now you're in a different situation. You're not a content creator. A lot of this is newer to you. You don't really know when and where to set up your camera or how to capture these shots. You might have grown up with a camcorder that you hold up to your eye and you just go to the dolphin show and film the whole thing with your camcorder. Today's world is different. Social media and other places that we put videos, the younger generation is demanding fast videos that don't bore them, right? Anything more than 30 or 60 seconds seems like an eternity for some of the youth. So there's tons to consider about what you're doing and why you're doing it and who your audience is going to be and how to do what you're doing for your audience, because you owe it to them. If you are creating content for an audience, you owe it to them to understand them better if you truly are creating on their behalf. So the first, and my son doesn't like this. He's 17. He wants to get into content creation, and he's all gung ho about it. But here comes me, and I say, here's where content creation starts, my boy. Right here, pen and paper. Youngsters don't like to hear that. He says, I don't need no pen and paper. I'll just take my camera and go shoot content. That is not how life works, unfortunately. If you want to shoot content, you need to put a little bit of intent into what you're doing. Randy, you're about to go on a, once in a lifetime trip, I'm sure. Put a little thought maybe into what you might want to capture, where you might put your phone to capture it, and how you might set it there. Do you have a little pocket tripod that's allowed in Disney that you're setting up here and there as you're walking by a ride so you can do a voiceover later? Just tons to think about. Content doesn't happen automatically. Content happens with intent. Content happens with planning. Content happens with scripting and storyboarding. Your content should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Think about that. What's the beginning, middle, and an end? Randy, there's this great TikTok trend, or not just Randy, but anybody who might have upcoming travel, where you set your phone on the ground and you jump over it. And you do that twice. You do it once at home, and then you do it once at your destination. And then you cut it right in the middle. So it looks like when you jumped over your phone, you landed in Disney. Very popular thing that people are doing right now. But you can't get that footage unless you think about it. You write it down, you plan it, you say, hey, fam, 1 sec. Can you all stand here for a minute? I'm going to set up the phone and we're all going to run and jump over it. Why? You'll see later. I'm going to edit it out. Those are the hard parts of being a content creator. Writing it down, planning, having intent. Now, some of us don't do that. Some of us and have no interest in doing that. And I don't blame you. You don't want to be a content creator. That's okay. Maybe you went to the zoo though, and at the zoo you shot some cute footage of family and the animals around, and you just want to recap that and get it back to your friends and family, you might want to post that on Instagram. Maybe it's just a quick reel
Mm.
of a dozen photos with a little bit of music so your friends can enjoy it and then flip by it. Intent is important here. So you'll be thinking about throughout all this, you'll be thinking about what kind of creator you are and where you fit into this kind of stuff. Look, nobody can master iMovie if you use it once every year and a half because you did something interesting. Now you want to create an epic slideshow. It's tough because if you don't use it, you're sitting there in front of a screen where everything looks like gibberish to you. Like, my gosh, I don't even know what to do here because I hardly ever use this stuff. And then come to find out my content doesn't just magically get amazing. I have to catch amazing content while I'm there. Swinging my phone back and forth with my thumb on the record button didn't get me the content I wanted. I should have set it up on a fence or a tripod and walked by and planned or posed some shots. So, as we dive into these tools, I'll be keen to talk a lot about what the tool is for and what I would recommend, what kind of creator I would recommend the tool to. Okay. As Al is populating the chat with extraordinary helpers like composition and technique, I would just like to say that the hardest technique to learn about any camera is getting it out of your pocket. Get it out of your pocket, aim it at something, and hit the record button. When you get home, you may not need that footage, but it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Get that phone out, point it at something, hit the record button, go stand in a unique spot while your family's on a ride and catch them from underneath and record that type of stuff. It is the only way to have usable content when you're ready to sit down and use some content. Okay, and if anybody has a question there, you're welcome to ask, but I think I'm just going to share my screen to continue this discussion a little bit about the content and how we interact with it. Okay, I just want to level the playing field with some discussion about today's linear video editors. Well, actually, this would be a nonlinear video editor because you can jump around, but I'm signaling linear to point out that it reads like a highway from left to right. A video editor is just a place for you to lay out the content you want and then be able to slice it. So in this little illustration I have here, I have a few components of a video editor that I just want to walk through with you and do a little visual confirmation here. In a timeline, which is what this is called, a timeline, you can see little tick marks at the top of the timeline. And those tick marks each represent a frame because video is measured in frames, which is complicated. When you look at a timeline, it would be nice to just see the time. Am I at the 30-second mark? No, I'm at 29 frames or 29 seconds and 11 frames. It can be a little confusing, but when we get into a video editor like iMovie and stuff, we'll take a closer look at that. But in a linear video editor like this, you will have wells or roads is what they look more like to me metaphorically. And those roads you can place the things on that you need. Now, what kind of things would a content creator be placing on a video editing track like this? Well, you can see here that I have got this blue, which is a video clip, and this green, which is an audio clip. Those are things a creator like me are likely to want on the timeline is video and audio. It isn't a given though. Sometimes video comes with audio. Like when you record video on your phone, it becomes a package like this. It has an audio track and it has a video track. And that is what's on your phone. Now, if you're at the zoo and there's a lot of background noise or people are chattering and you don't want all of that noise in your video, you would be able to remove the audio track from your video, either delete it or set it aside and just use the video silently. So this is a keen thing to know when editing video is that you can drop your video on the timeline. It will most likely carry audio with it. So you'll see it like, appear like this in your timeline. And you have the option then of taking that video and deleting it out so you don't have to hear the background and you're going to add your own sound in later. Or you can leave the video in and that will allow you to keep the video accompanied with the audio. So those are two main things that you as a content creator or you as somebody who has the desire to create content, it's going to be very important for you to manage the visual and the audio together, If you did not create the video with audio attached, in other words, it's just a photograph that you're attaching to the video, not a video clip, then you will likely see that that segment of video will not have audio beneath it because a still image or photograph is not going to come with audio. Now, this can be somewhat challenging when creating content because if some of your content has audio and other of your content does not have audio, it can make for a chaotic experience of hearing audio sometimes and not others. So sometimes it's a good idea just to do a voiceover for the video, do your own audio later, maybe add some sound effects or whatever later on. And so as a content creator, you will want to have audio on its own track so you can control the volume and stuff, and you're going to want the video on its own track. Sometimes those two are related and move together, like you see here, and sometimes they're not.
Let me turn the
I'll
mute
pause there. I thought
button
maybe
on.
there's a question or something. No, okay. So as a creator, you are going to be combining video with audio, sometimes video without audio, sometimes still images, and sometimes your own music or sound into your own composition. And so you'll look on this timeline and have the ability to decide if you want to stack video on top of each other. You could do that. And I want to explain here briefly why that might be useful another thing that you would most likely need in addition to video, whether it has audio or not, and audio are titles, words on the screen that explain where you are, what you're doing, or even a graphic of some sort. And titles can be stacked as well on top of these paths in the timeline. So what we can surmise from this little thing we've built here is that this is the playhead. The playhead is where you're looking on your composition at any given time. I put a little icon of an eye there so you can see that what you're seeing is represented by the playhead's location. If you move the playhead back and forth, you'll see different things depending on the playhead's location in your composition. So as a content creator, you would be stacking things like audio, video, titles, and the playhead in your editor sees with its eye down from the top. So what that means is that if the playhead is here and the eye is looking from the top down, then the eye is going to see this video clip here. If I were to move a title in front of that into the eye line of the playhead, because it reads from the top down, that text would be above the video. If I add another video clip in the timeline and I can condense that down to as short or as long as I want, that will be seen only for a short time. That's great for stuff like B-roll when, somebody's narrating something, maybe they're talking about the weather and they show a weather vane flapping about wildly. That's B-roll. You can stack that on top of your video. But what these video editors allow you to do is have the freedom to stack audio, video, and titles on top of each other with you in control of what the output is going to be. So you get to decide if this title is above the video or below it. If it was below it, you wouldn't be able to see it. If we were to put the titles down here, this eye can't see through the video to the title. So a title is something you would want above. You'll see a live demonstration of this here in a moment. So once you assemble all these things, you would have a composition. Now here's a real live screenshot of a composition that I'm working on, and I'm going to take you to it in a moment to kind of show you how things work. But here you can see I have my playhead. And in this composition or in this video editor, I have an overlay. I have a title here. I have different clips of video in this timeline. The timing of these video clips is determined by me. I get to decide, okay, I'll make this one a little longer and make this one a little shorter. And video editing is basically just combining audio, video, titles, maybe some transitions into the composition you want. Now you can imagine, as somebody who has a desire to create content, how important it is to have good content. Because once you get to this stage where you're stitching all your stuff together, you're going to need continuity for your story. Like if you're narrating something, and you're talking about the surrounding area, it would be nice if you had just panned the ocean while you were there. And that pan of the ocean can be dropped right into your narration. So as you're talking, people can have a visual of what you're talking about. Uh, and so that's the first thing to prepare yourself for. And I'd imagine that's why you're here today in this workshop. But the first thing to prepare yourself for mentally is, okay, I have a desire to create content. I either have the content already or I'm going to capture the content. If I'm capturing the content, I'm starting with my pen and paper and I'm making myself an objective. I'm challenging myself that my content will have a beginning, a middle, and an end. I'm challenging myself that it'll be more than just shots of me pointing my phone at stuff. I'll mix it up. I'll have a little bit of B-roll. Maybe I'll put a little narration. And so those are the things that you plan for in advance. Now I'm going to switch tracks and basically talk about, okay, well, then what's the workflow? When I get back to my desk or my easy chair with my iPad, how am I going to combine all these things? Where do I keep them? And, how do I combine them all? So that'll be our next step here in just a moment. I'll show you this live so you can get an idea of sort of what it looks like in an editor. Now I'm in an editor here. This one happens to be called DaVinci Resolve.
Oh, okay.
DaVinci Resolve is free for both PC and Mac users, and it's a very powerful video editor. The first question to ask at this juncture is, well, wait a minute, would I use that over iMovie? And my answer to you is, unless you have a very advanced project that you're working on, where your needs will outscale what iMovie is capable of, I would say absolutely not. Do not use an editor.
Pete, your audio is off.
Thanks, Mary. I wasn't sure. I was putzing with mine. I thought I'd lost it.
I think we all have.
Yeah, my screen's froze.
Really?
Oh, no, not anymore.
We can't hear you, Pete.
My audio turned itself off.
Did it?
Only one I can't hear is Pete.
Any audio now?
Yes.
Yeah.
You switch back here. Any audio now?
Yes.
Yep.
So
You
it
know-
went off when you went from DaVinci Resolve, and why do you need it versus iMovie?
I wonder if it'll happen again. Do I have audio now?
Yes,
Yes.
You still have it? Okay.
yes.
Well,
Yeah.
weird little glitch there, I guess, but I just wanted to kind of start here and say that yeah, what you experience in iMovie will be a subset of the tools you see here. So I think for everybody here, I would assume that iMovie is going to be a perfectly fine, but if you are somebody who has outscaled the capabilities of iMovie, DaVinci Resolve is something to consider, but so is Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro is $50 a year, I believe, to license the subscription to Final Cut Pro. And it is my favorite. It's the best of the best. So I wanted to make sure I show you a little bit of everything, but this is DaVinci Resolve. You're going to see Final Cut Pro on the iPad, and we'll get to iMovie here in a minute as well.
When did Final Cut go to subscription, Pete?
A couple of years ago, they did $200 a year for a while, and then they lowered it to $50 a year, I believe. That's what it is now.
Oh, wow, I hadn't gotten that.
That's for the iPad version, right, Pete?
I think it's also for the Mac OS version as well.
Mac OS is 300 a year.
300 a year? Wow, wow. Huh,
I've got an old copy and I'm still using it.
right. I haven't gotten that prompt.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
purchased it a long time ago.
Yeah. Maybe we're grandfathered in.
I think so.
Cool.
Hopefully so.
Yeah, $300 on the Mac, and I think it's $50 on the iPad.
Thank goodness for all those educational discounts that used to be available. Buy all those, video compressor and all the other logic.
Yeah, it's not showing me the price, but yeah, I believe it's $50 now. But yeah,
Okay. Wow.
I vastly prefer Final Cut Pro over anything. It's my favorite. I really like it.
What's your use case, Pete, for DaVinci Resolve?
For work, I had to make a TikTok. I gave my team an assignment to make a TikTok, and I had to make one to lead the assignment. And this is what I use this for. You can see here. Hey there. Did my printer just talk to me?
Just want to make sure you never run out of ink. With HP Instant Ink, fresh cartridges ship right to your door automatically. See? Already handled. Ink arrives before you run out.
This is something I wanted to
That's
show
great.
you. Yeah, it's just I'm trying to get my team into more short form content, away
Right.
from traditional content. But you can see here, I just wanted to use this example. You can see my playhead. And as I put it in different places, it is looking down and seeing different things. Depending on the order of what it sees here, like this, for instance, is an overlay that I made. I can disable that and you see the TikTok overlay disappears in my composition. So you can disable or delete, but it is first. So it is what the camera sees first. And then second is the video below. I have audio for voice, which that voice you're hearing is an AI voice. I just pasted my script into AI. It's called 11 Labs. And AI allowed me to change whatever voice I wanted. I thought this voice sounded upbeat and cool.
With HP Instant Ink, fresh cartridges ship right to your door automatically. See? Already handled.
Now I put this text here so you can see another example of as the playhead is looking down, it doesn't see the text yet, but once it hovers over, it looks down and sees that text. I can then, in this particular utility, put this anywhere, do all my editing there. But I'll show you in a moment how the same type of thing is can be done with iMovie. So I wanted to start with high complexity, and that's what you see here is a high level of complexity. I have many layers. I have an overlay that makes it look like a TikTok video. I have a solid color to start because I wanted it to start with a black screen that fades from black to the content. You see, I have different music below. So all of this was put together using this editor. But as we switch to iMovie and some others, you'll see that it's the same objective, just different way of getting there. So I'm going to share my iPad screen now. So we
Pete,
can
when you're doing this content creation, you use your Apple Pencil in part of the process.
Yes, Apple Pencil is if you're an iPad user and you have the Apple Pencil, or I have the Apple Pencil Pro here. I think the Apple Pencil Pro is the one that has haptic feedback. It'll vibrate and allow you to change tools and this type of thing. It'll also tell you where it is on the screen before you touch the screen, so it can predict where you are without contact to the screen. You can see I'm sort of moving these icons around, but I'm not touching the screen. I'm hovering over them. So it's like almost feels magnetic. But yeah, I use the Apple Pencil wherever possible, but you'll see some of these utilities that we're going to discuss today don't allow Apple Pencils. So, oh, and look, I just realized my master bedroom fan is on. There's nobody in there, so I'm just going to click to turn that off. There we go. Okay, so let's take a look at these video editors. I've got some utilities here on the right side of the screen. You can see the different icons. I have, starting at the top, I have Final Cut Pro. I have two below that, I have iMovie there. And then below that, I have Clips. Final Cut Pro, iMovie, and Clips are Apple applications. Apple coded them, Apple built them, Apple backs them, Apple supports them. And for me, that's synonymous with a good user experience. So if you're somebody who has a desire to create content and you're trying to figure out what the right spot is for you, I would say iMovie is my advice, is you would start with iMovie. If you're more advanced, if you raised your hand right now and said, Pete, I've done extensive video projects, I already am familiar with a lot of this stuff, I would highly recommend then that you graduate to Final Cut Pro, which on the iPad is $50. But yeah, so iMovie is probably your sweet spot. But some of you might be going, well, I more just want to post stuff on Instagram. You know, I want a quick social media thing. I want to post a quick reel, or I want to post a quick video on Instagram that highlighted my day with a family member or something. Well, then iMovie is probably overkill for you, and that's where Clips comes in. And so what I'd like to do is just start with the least complex of them all, and that's Clips, and just talk about what utility Clips has and what you might use it for as somebody with a desire to create content. So I'm going to launch Clips. You can see what the icon looks like there on my home screen. It is this icon that's wiggling around here. It's got the camera in there with the blue sort of outline. Now, you may not have that app already, but it is available in the App Store for free. It is an Apple produced, coded, and supported app, and it's called Clips, C-L-I-P-S. Clips is probably the simplest way for you to take pictures and videos that are in your camera roll, splice them together quickly, throw some music and maybe some fun effects on there, and send it off to a friend, family member, or social media. Again, that's called Clips, C-L-I-P-S, and you see the icon looks like that little camera in a blue-purple circle down there. Now I'm going to launch Clips, and it's immediately shooting the camera at my face saying, is this where you want to start? And maybe it is. Maybe I'm going to start my video with a quick message using the front-facing camera. As a matter of fact, why don't we just do, well, let's take a quick tour of the interface, but then that's what we'll do. Now, here in Clips, what you see is the entire interface is all here. So in terms of simplicity, I think this is a good one. If you like to keep things simple, everything's here in front of us. However, it has very, robust capabilities regardless of its seemingly simple interface. Now, if you're on the phone, you're going to see the same icons. They'll just be arranged differently because it'll be less real estate. In the Clips app, what I like about it is that the timeline is down there at the bottom. You can't really even see it yet because we haven't put anything on it. But that timeline down there is a very simplistic view of the timeline. Remember earlier, I showed you my DaVinci Resolve timeline, and my gosh, it was complex. There was lots of layers and this type of thing. With this, a very simplified version of the timeline, which I really like. So as we tour the interface, in the upper left, you're going to see an icon, looks like a stack of icons. That's where your projects are. If I tap that, it's going to bring up any projects that I've been working on, and I can access those projects, so they'll be saved. Then I can access them later, add to them later on. Continuing across the top of the interface over to the right there, I have the ability to say what aspect ratio I would like for my composition here. I can choose from only 3. So this is an instance where other editors like Final Cut Pro are going to get you unlimited aspect ratios, but a simple tool like this is going to limit you to one of the 3 you see here. 16:9, this is harder to remember, but just remember if you can, 16:9 is the movie screen type. 16:9 is long, and wide and short. 4:3 is square. Those are the TVs we all grew up with. Those were the shape of 4:3 aspect ratio, 4 parts by 3 parts, almost a square. Much less wide and short than the 16:9 or cinema. And then you have square here. You could do square if you'd like to. I'm going to choose square because I believe that if you're not sure where you're going to put it, you might be one who says, I'm going to put a copy of this on Instagram, a copy of this on Facebook. I want a copy for my TikTok or whatever. You may want to put it in various places. You may just want to share it via text. What I'm going to choose is Square because I find Square has the most versatility. Whether somebody watches it sideways or whether somebody watches it portrait, landscape, doesn't matter. If it's Square, it's going to render as big as it can on their screen. So I like the Square. Continuing around the interface, as we went from upper left, we're continuing to the right. We have our aspect ratio switch there, and then we have a musical note. And this allows you to choose either a soundtrack or my music. Now, soundtracks are something that ship with the Clips app. These are all in there for free. It's something that Clips is providing you as royalty-free music. We've got to spend a beat on this because I learned the hard way. I have an Empower Mac series on YouTube, and it's got over 1 million views altogether, but I put copywritten music in there because I like the way Boston's More Than a Feelin' sounded at the end during the credits or something. This made it so these videos could not be monetized. Now, I don't think I missed out on very much money. They were just things I did mostly for this group back in the day, but that copywritten music will get a copyright strike on YouTube. They'll mute the music out of my video or take it down altogether. Now, I caution you with this because any video you post, if you decide to post something on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you'd like to post, even TikTok, there's very stringent restrictions for copywritten stuff. And they have machines constantly listening to stuff to detect copywritten stuff. So in this moment here on my screen, under soundtracks, I see a bunch that are okay for me to use because Apple made them. Now, I don't know what they'll sound like. There's got to be one that sounds good that you like for your project, but you can scroll through and check them out. Well, you've also got My Music where you can scroll through your music and you can decide to use a song from your music, but they're all copywritten. So if you try that, it's going to say, sorry, you can't use that sound. So for now, I'm going to leave it on none just for the moment as we move on. So we've covered the top. Upper left is your projects, and then we scroll over to the aspect ratio switch and then the audio. And then you've got your bank of controls along the right there. You've got the lightning bolt, which is flash or no flash. You can turn the flash. You can force the flash if you want. You can force it to stay off if you want. But yeah, that's the flash button. Right beneath that, the white circle is the shutter. I can just take a photo. Now, I'm going to take a photo for example's sake, and I'd like you to watch where it ends up. So I'll snap the photo. And then, oh, this is interesting. Okay. I'll snap a photo and then it's going to ask me to hold the button down for as long as I'd like the photo to be on there. And then I'm going to snap a video. So here goes a photo. And then I can hold this pink button on the right for however many seconds I decide I want that video to be on there. Little tip there. Hold to add the selected photo. Ooh, did I find an iOS 26 glitch? Okay, I'm going to do a recording using the same button. Just hold it down and then let it go. Same thing as a photograph, but I'm doing recording with audio. So if I let that go, you will see that up here. Ooh. I'm going to quit the app. I am seeing some troubles. Some glitches. Okay, let's try that again. I'm going to go to the square, take a picture. Okay. Then uh-oh, Clips is in trouble. Let's see. Yikes. Okay, well, the way it should work, and maybe it's because I'm using iOS 26 preview version, beta version, that may be what's causing my kerfluffle with Clips here. But the way it's supposed to work is I would then take a picture of myself, which it isn't going to allow me to do. And then that would go into my timeline as a photo. But since that's not working, we're just going to get into my photos. So looking at the right cluster again, we've got flash on off at the top. We've got the shutter button. We can change to the front facing camera or the rear facing camera with the arrow button there. I'm supposed to be able to hold this pink button down and talk and have that clip be added to my thing. I'll try that now by holding the button down, talking into the camera and seeing if it goes into my composition. Aha, I think that one worked because do you see it appeared down in the lower left? Remember earlier I said that's a simplified timeline, so everything you're going to add to your project will show as an icon down there. It isn't like the traditional linear video editor where you see all the different tracks. It's much more simplified for clips. So I'm going to play that to see what it sounded like. Or not. Okay, I'm going to just leave that down there. And then going down to the star, you can see with the star, I can do effects here. When I click the star, a panel flies out, as you can see here, and that panel has tabs along the bottom. So in the effects panel in Clips, you've got the tabs along the bottom where you can assign yourself a memoji. So if I do this, then it's going to track my face. And so maybe I don't want to show my exact identity. I want to hide behind a mask like this or something, but you can still see that it's tracking me and allowing me to record. I could record my video as this fox here if I wanted to, but along the tabs at the bottom, there are more than just the emoji. See my shark face one. If I go along those effect tabs down there, I've got AR spaces. This is interesting. Check this out. In AR spaces, mapping my area. Okay, I'll hit start effects. Oh, but it didn't do my. And you can see here, there's different effects that will map to whatever area you're filming. at the time there's money falling and stuff like this. It's augmented reality, so it'll overlay over whatever you're currently doing. See some cool things. You see how it doesn't breach the TV because it's sort of reading the depth in the room. So that's the second thing along the bottom tabs there. Your first one was to give yourself a mask or a helmet, right? The memojis. And so I can put my helmet on here. The second was AR spaces. The third is filters. So I can just get into these filters and, turn on whichever one I want there. But then I also have live titles. This is pretty cool, I think, where if I do another recording, hey, this is Pete, and we are headed out to Disneyland in Southern California. Come along with us. Right? And if I play that, I'll get those captions. Okay. So as we're moving through the interface, those are effects that can be turned on or off. I'm just going to disable my effects. None there, none there. Okay. But now we get to the good stuff, which is your camera roll. This is where we're going to access your still images and your videos and bring them into this very simplified format so you can create your video. To do that, I'm going to get rid of these 2 clips that I made down here. Those are for the sake of example, and they're being fussy about functioning properly. So we're back to nothing. Go to my camera roll, where I go to photos here, and I can scroll through my camera roll. And let's just start with the plane ride. I'm going to click photo of the plane ride, click add to project. Okay, so there's my plane ride photo. It's very slow to respond. I'm trying to figure out what's slowing it down. Okay, and these photos, once they're in here, access them, and you have a bunch of different options for each photo. I'm just going to click on trim. I can trim this video down if I wanted to. You see, you get all of the features of a regular video editor, but with the simplicity of clips. Let's go back in to photos. Here you can do a combination. I'm going to do this still image here. Click that, click done, add to project. Still image of me on the plane. Trim. And that will be there for 3 seconds in the show. Let me go back to my stuff. And so you see here, I'm just going to keep going back to the well videos and photos and stuff. Let's see. Disney, here's a little lightsaber show, add to project. So I'm adding all these things. You see them building on my timeline down here. It will move very quickly for you. I think I've really slowed it down because of iOS 26, I would imagine, is the problem, but you're really not seeing it in real time. But for you, it will allow you to stack videos, photos, and then for each thing in your timeline, and you can see in my timeline, I have 4 things. I've so far just built 4 things about my trip. Maybe let me just add one more thing in there. Go back to my photos, scroll down and find a good video that I want to include. Wait, oh, here we go. Here's a photo, and then maybe this one here. Okay, add those. And you see, I just keep adding things in here. Now for each thing I add, and you see I can just tap them in the timeline down below. For each thing I add, I have the ability to put some effects on all of those things. So if I go to this photo here, bring this photo up, I can go to effects and use filters or captions. There's a bunch of stickers that you can pull out that are included in here under effects, both stickers with words on them, but also little icons and things like that. They're even animated. They'll move as the video plays. They'll paint in and paint out and stuff like that. So with each little thing you have in your timeline, whether it's a video or whether it's a still image, you have the ability to simply tap each one and make changes to it like you see here. Yours will play nice and smooth as mine isn't. And then just while we're here on clips, I'd like to show you when you're done, after you've added effects to each of these frames to your heart's content, you can add emojis and overlay audio, tons of stickers in here to pull out and put right on your composition, emojis, shrink them down and reposition them. And so once you're done, you've gone through your composition, and this is the simplest way. So those of you who are, of the mind, like, I don't want a bunch of complexity. I do want to be able to put 7 photos and 3 videos together and then trim them down. Yeah, this seems like a good way to go without a ton of complexity. When you're done, you can simply use the lower right corner share button when you're finished, and that will allow you to share it out. You have a few options of how you want to share it, but it'll allow you to share it out. If it's too big, it'll say, would you like to use a Dropbox link or an iCloud link? Sorry. But I'm just going to send this. Let's see.
How big is too big?
These can, they're not limited in size. So depending on how much you do with your composition, you could have a 2 gigabyte video, and so here you see, I'm going to share it with myself. Yeah, there I am. Share. Yeah, you'll see it'll say, this is too big. Would you like to make a link? Or the other thing too is you can export it out as a video file, right? You see I have a save video option here where I can save video right to my camera roll or save to files. I'm going to save this right to my camera roll so we can preview it. Get to my camera roll. Okay. So here it is as it was exported from clips. You see the videos are playing smoothly now. You'll see some on the next one, you'll see some video play smoothly, and then some animated stickers I think we put on the last one. This was just exported directly from clips to my camera roll. I don't know how long this clip went, but yeah, you can see these stickers are animated, a little explosion there. So these are all things that you can easily do using the Clips app. And that again is an iOS app. It's free. And I thought it was important to show that. My daughter once on a trip just kept opening the same project and adding to it instead of just using the camera roll. She would open clips. She would take a video inside clips, put some filters and things on there, and then save it. So it is a great way for those of you who don't want to be too burdened with, making sure that you have your content listed out and all that stuff. You just want to be spontaneous, shoot, and then sew something together later very simply. I think Clips is the one for you. It's again free, available on any iOS device, any iPad or iPhone, and a great way to just create something to post on your Facebook or social media without too much commitment to knowing how to do it. But next we're going to step into iMovie, which very similar capabilities to clips, but much more complexity in the interface and some higher capability too. So next we'll open iMovie. Let's see, down here. Okay, so I've opened iMovie, and one thing I really like about iMovie is that in addition to it being a linear video editor, it is also a very handy helper. Earlier, I said we got to start with a pen and paper and get planning. Well, iMovie will help you with that if you want. And you can see when I launch iMovie here, it says start new project. And I've got choices of Magic Movie, Storyboard, or Movie. Now, Movie, the one on the right there, is the one you want if you just want to start from scratch. You want to see a blank video editing bed, and you just want to start piling your photos, videos, and audio in there. You would choose Movie. But I really like Storyboard because in Storyboard, it allows you to pick sort of a template. And so if you are somebody with a desire to create some content and you want a little of the creative work to get done for you, this is a great way to get in there and sort of get yourself a set of rails to go on. Now, let me explain here. You open iMovie, you pick storyboards, and you'll see that there's a bunch to choose from here. You'll probably find something that fits you. Also, if you are a fan of movie trailers in iMovie, those have been tucked into here, as you can see in the lower right. Trailers is a list of a bunch of different trailers you can choose from.
Didn't understand that. Didn't understand that whoever was speaking.
I think Pete's audio is just garbled.
Was it Pete?
Agreed.
Yeah, I think it's Pete.
Oh, okay. I thought someone else was speaking. Pete, seems like we lost audio again. Or, well, that's what others say, not I.
Okay, how's this? Is this
Better. Yeah, you're
Yeah, now
back.
I can hear you.
okay? I think I can move this microphone out of the way because I'm using that one now.
Okay, boy.
All right, so on my screen, as you can see, Apple has provided many templates for you to get started if you are somebody who desires to make content but just doesn't, really know how to set up storyboards or figure out what your shot list is going to be. So here you can just pick something. I'm going to pick trip because that's maybe the most likely thing we might want to create content about. So I picked trip here. And then you can see there's a number of styles you can choose from in trip. Just tons of different things that you can click on to try out or see how it looks. It'll give you a little animation and show you how it looks. And I'm going to click into one of these, but only for a moment because I am not, I probably won't teach you how to use iMovie from a template, but I do want you to know that these templates are useful. So here's one called Charm. This is where I can then kind of pick from the bottom 4 options. So, I went in and picked a style that I like, and now I'm going to pick one of the 4, for each of the 4 options below, I'm going to make a selection. So this one's called, the music option is first. It has its own suggestion in there, which is One to One Make It by Rob Barbado. But if I click there, it'll show me a bunch of others that I can choose from. And so I don't know if my audio will come through yours. There we go. So you kind of choose the one you want, choose the music you want, and then that's one of the 4 selections below. So a music selection, And when you're using these templates, you only get the one music selection. If you're somebody who wants a bunch of different music, you would have to not use the template. And then fonts. It'll give you a choice of what font set you like. I'm going to choose this wide one here and click done. Next, you choose your primary color for the theme. So, you know, beige or light pink or whatever they offer. Each theme will be different. And then the filter, you know, do you want something, you know, heavily contrast filtered or something like that? I think I'm just going to leave it on none for default for now. Then when you are done choosing your 4 options, you would just click create like I'll do in the upper right corner here. And what that does is builds you a video, but not with your content. You can see over on the left there, a video has been built. It has a little preview section. It has a journey section, reflect or reactions, cultural highlights, environmental highlights, personal highlights, and wrap up. So this is what iMovie is saying. Look, if you chose the trip template, here are the things you're most likely to want to put in this order. And so I like that. It tells you you need a wide shot. It tells you you need title over footage. It tells you you need a medium shot. You can click on these and kind of see I need a close up, I need a wide shot, close up, medium shot. It sort of gives you the shot list that you would need to create this video. Very helpful to have this shot list when you're out in the field. You know, one thing my daughter and I did was our objective was to build a video. So we used iMovie on the phone. As we were out in the field, we would pull up this shot list and it said medium shot. It allowed us to just click medium shot and then record the shot right here inside of iMovie by using the record feature. What that allowed us to do is fill these with the shots we knew we needed. So if you're going to have an outing with some friends, you might scroll through this first and go, okay, hey, when we get to our destination, I'm going to film a series of shots to flesh this out. I'm going to move off of templates in a moment, but just for the heck of it, let's start populating this template with my own stuff I already have. I'll use my Disneyland trip as the premise for populating this template here called trip. So first it needs a wide shot. I'm going to choose from my library. So I'm into my photos here. And it doesn't get much wider than an airplane shot. So I'm going to click that and plug it in there. And you can see it took my airplane shot and put it right in the wide shot area there. I can click play and it sort of shows that video playing. And you'll see it'll continue through the rest of the shot. So one thing I don't like is the fact that this video is being cropped because it was a portrait video and I'm putting in a landscape composition. So you see how I'm sort of losing some of that video to the crop. Later, you'll have a chance to change that. Right now, we're sort of in this edit mode, but here, I'm going to do the next one. It's called title over footage. This is what it's going to look like. So all I need to do is click here to grab the video clip that I want. Oh, wait, let me just choose from library. And let's see if I have a wide shot of Disney. I did most of my filming in portrait mode, and sadly, I can't change an iMovie to portrait. So that's one of the limitations that you need to be aware of, is that you cannot go portrait mode in iMovie. I'm sorry, you cannot go, you cannot go portrait mode in iMovie. You have to stay landscape mode. So for the next one, I'm just going to put another video. Let's see what this is. Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Okay, so just continuing to populate these. Let's see, this is a medium shot. Okay, let me populate that. And you can see here that you can feasibly go through here and capture all of the footage you would need to create this video with all of these placeholders. Now I'm going to click done here and go edit this project. Let's see. Take this shot. Oh, is it not going to? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so then with each individual shot that I have taken, I can go to any of my shots here, and then I can click into that shot for more. Like for instance, I want to change some things about the shot that I selected. So I'm going to scroll back to the beginning, and I had an airplane shot here. It was shot in portrait mode, but I would like it to appear in landscape if at all possible. So what I'm going to do is come down here to all the selections you see at the bottom and see if I can't get dot zoomed in. Okay, get that. Oh, it doesn't have that feature on here. Interesting. Maybe it does limit you. Just see. Is that? Okay, that allows me to slice it. So while I'm in here, the one thing it's not allowing me to do is zoom. And I think that is a deal breaker if you. That's shocking. Okay. Okay, well, if your shot was shot in portrait, even and you're using a template, it does not allow you to zoom in on an area of your clip, which I think is a huge miss. I don't know why you should be penalized when using a template, but that just goes to show you that you should shoot for the format that you are intending to edit in. Square is probably best because it is the best of both worlds. But here we are in our template. I think it's very handy that it has a list of shots for you. You can populate them with stuff you already have, or you can reshoot those shots. But you lose the advantage of having the linear video editor. It's all locked into this newer format that doesn't allow you to edit the video in the same way you would as if you just picked a movie, which we'll look at now. So that was a new project called Storyboard, lots of different kinds, but keep in mind that if you choose Storyboard, you will be locked in to not being able to crop or zoom your videos at all. Okay, so we're just going to go to movie now, and this is where we get to just start from scratch. And when I pick a movie, it's asking me to include some clips in the movie. This is an interesting step because if I do include clips in the movie, it's going to add them to the timeline. So if I scroll through here and I select a bunch of clips, it will add them for me. I prefer to sort of go back through and add them on my terms. So I'm just going to click create movie without adding a single clip. And will it let me? Oh.
Okay.
It looks like I will add the first clip. This one. Ooh, I'm finding a lot of bugs. I think I should not have upgraded to iOS 26 so early. In everyday use, I didn't find much wrong with it, but now that I'm digging into very specific things, I can see something is going on. Okay, sorry, getting back to here. Okay. All right, I am now in the iMovie interface. As you can see, it differs from clips in a lot of ways. So while we're here in the iMovie interface, and we will spend quite a bit of time here building out a project, but then we will also in the final hour get into Final Cut Pro and how that differs from this. So as you remember from the clips demonstration I gave earlier, it was a much simpler interface. It was only one video area with some squares below as the timeline. iMovie here has a more traditional timeline where we're building out from left to right, and we can see our clips in that timeline and click on them to have control over what happens with them and stuff like that. And so it's a bit more akin to a traditional linear video editor like you might get with Final Cut Pro. In fact, I think this could be called Final Cut, and then Final Cut Pro is the pro version because they're basically doing exactly the same thing, right? Final Cut Pro, iMovie, DaVinci Resolve, Clips, all of the things we're examining today do the exact same thing. They take your content and allow you to stack them on a timeline that's audio, video, and text, and then be able to output that composition. So same thing. As we progress, you'll see more and more capabilities and features. So for instance, I just put this video on the timeline, and you can see if I go full screen with this, you'll be able to see that I am not viewing this entire video. It's getting cut off. I'll show you what I mean. If I view this, you see the video is only in the center. The right and left of the screen are cut off. The reason this happened was because I was filming holding my phone upright this way. Now that I have it in iMovie, it's going, well, we do projects like this. You're doing a project like this. We're going to get it as far as we can. And that's what iMovie's done here is basically taking my upright video and zoomed in on it a little bit. So it sort of fills the screen, but not really. What I'd like to do is fill the screen with the video. I want to zoom it in even more. So in iMovie, you have the ability to do that. You see the clip down on the timeline there, and I'm going to go back to how to get the clips on the timeline, whether it's a photo or a video here in a moment. But once I highlight that clip in the timeline, and you can see if I scrub my finger back and forth, that white bar, which is the playhead, will show me where I'm viewing my composition in the timeline. And using the pinch gesture on the lower half of my screen will make that either smaller or larger. This is a bit confusing because you're not shortening the video clip when you pinch to zoom. You're simply expanding the view of it so you can see it closer up. More about that in a minute when we start stacking things up. So I'm brushing back and forth to see this video. I'm going to tap it to highlight it, and you see it's now outlined in yellow. This means that I'm focused on this video, and all of the options I choose from here are going to be relevant to the selection I've made. So video is selected. I see it outlined in yellow. That tells me that I have the ability to apply any of the 5 icons down at the bottom. Those are action, speed, volume, titles, and filters. Those are the 5 options I have to apply to just the clip I have selected. Keep that in mind. This doesn't apply to the whole project. But I selected a clip, I know because it's highlighted in yellow, and this is where I can decide which of those 5 things at the bottom I'd like to utilize. In addition to that, what you see at the bottom there, as I select the clip, I'd like you to watch the gear in the top of the screen in the center. There's a gear. Do you see that gear? When I click on a video clip, that gear shows a little magnifying glass under it. This means that this clip can be zoomed. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click the magnifying glass. That'll allow me to pinch to zoom. And now I can bring the clip full screen. Now I'm at a disadvantage because I filmed it this way, but I'm trying to show it to you this way. So I've lost the top and bottom of my video because I have to pull it closer since it's filmed like this. It wouldn't make any sense for me to rotate it because I filmed it in the upright position. So what I've done is I've pulled it closer to fill up the whole screen, but let's play it and see what we lost and if it's an acceptable loss. Let's take a look. I don't mind it because what I was trying to get is the action and adventure, you know, because we're going to put a title over that and that'll make a great background for a title. So I don't mind it at all, but I do think it went a little bit too long. You see here, we start to get into this next scene and I don't think we need that. So I'm going to select the clip again by tapping it. This would give me the opportunity to either zoom it back or zoom it closer, however I wanted, using that magnifying glass. Or the 5 icons at the bottom, action, speed, volume, titles, and filters. Here, what I'll do is put my finger on the yellow bookend on the right? This clip seems to be bookended by 2 yellow bars. I see one in the beginning and one at the end. Those are for me to rest my finger on and move back and forth to reduce the duration of the clip. I want to reduce this clip's duration up until right about here, where my big explosion ends, right about here, I think. There, now if I play that clip again. I like that because that's going to say Trip to Disney 2025. We're going to put a title over that. But before we do, let's get a little bit more media on the timeline. So in looking at the interface, we see the timeline at the bottom. Some useful tools down there along that gray strip at the bottom. You see a microphone and a camera icon. This is an opportunity for you to either do a voiceover, which we'll do in a moment, or record yourself on screen. So if you wanted to record yourself on screen, using the camera button would invoke the camera, and you would be able to then have this. It's not going to let me use it because I'm on Zoom, but you could then record yourself and add it right into your timeline. And then moving across the interface, you see a back button that gets you all the way back to the beginning of your video, a play button, which will allow you to play the video. And then as we continue across that gray bar, you've got the undo command. You can undo the edits there. If you hold your finger down on the undo button, it'll pop up and say redo. So let's say you undid something and you didn't mean to, you can redo it. And the last icon you see in the timeline is a little squiggly line, which denotes an audio waveform. If you turn that on, then scrubbing will have audio. You know, you can see the audio right there attached to the video. And the audio, you can see that gray bar and it's got all the levels on there. That's how you know. That's how you know, that's the visual indicator that that's your audio turned on or off. Now, for me, I think that audio is a little high because this is just my intro screen. So when I play it, I think that's just a bit loud. So I'm going to select the clip and choose from the 5 options below audio, and I can move the volume up or down. You can see here. Don't want it so loud, so I'm just going to make it a little bit quieter. Hit play. I like it. Excellent. Okay, let's get another video clip in here. So as you can see from this interface and this layout, my options are all in the upper right quadrant. You know, I have ability to close that or open it using the plus in the upper right. So you see that little plus, I can click that and that'll bring me my menu where I can get into video, which is all accessing the Photos app. So if I go to video here, and then recently added videos, it shows me a preview of the videos in my camera roll, or in my Photos app more like. And I can even scrub my finger along the video to get a preview of it. So I can see what was in that video. So here I am looking for my next video to drop in here. And I think I like this one right here. I happened to be at Disneyland on a meetup night where all the lightsaber nerds were meeting up. So I had me some fun with my fellow nerds. But again, did you notice that when I dropped it in, I lost both sides? You see those black strips on each side? It's because I filmed like this, but I'm trying to edit like this. So the reason I keep harping on that is keep that in mind when you're out there filming. How are you going to want this video? So I'm going to click on that video, use the magnifying glass to say pinch to zoom, and then I'm going to bring that video up full screen and hope that that worked out. Let's take a look. Not bad. It's very zoomed in. I wish I had taken video in landscape mode, but I didn't. One thing I don't need is all the chatter. I don't need to hear them talking. So what I'll do is just get rid of the audio altogether. How do I modify a clip? I just tap it. I see it's highlighted in yellow now. And once I tap that clip under the volume, once I tap that clip, you'll see detach audio appears right above those 5 icons down there, those 5 selections. You see detach audio. So if I click that, you see the audio now is its own separate clip. I don't want any of it, so I'm just going to grab that audio and hit the delete key on my keyboard to get rid of it. Do not need that audio. Heck. Oh, delete. Gone. So now when we play this clip, there is no chatter or anything like that underneath it. Okay, fun. Let's go back, and I'd like to get some still photos in here. Get this photo. And I think I'll just find a photo from, there we go. Great one here. Add it. Okay, now I've added a photo. Now, unlike video, when you add a photo, it fills up the screen. So that looks pretty nice. I like the way it filled up the screen. I don't like the way it cropped my photo, but I do like the way it filled up the screen. So now I'm going to tap that photo that we just brought in, and that will allow me to see how long that photo is going to be on the screen. And you see between the two ladies' foreheads, you'll see it says 5.0s or 5 seconds. That means this photo is going to be on the screen for 5 seconds. Now let's talk a little bit about photo duration. If you're a slideshow type and you like to make slideshows, the amount of time any photo should be on the screen is roughly 3 seconds. 3 seconds is what the analysts say is the amount of time people will enjoy a photo, especially if it's not related to them and their life. If it's friends and family, obviously they'll spend longer on a photo, but if you're showing people your model train hobby, they may not want to see the same image for a long time. So I have this photo on for 5 seconds. As I can see between the two ladies there, it gives me that indicator, 5 seconds. I'm going to leave it at 5 because even though 3 seconds is the optimum time, I'm probably going to have a transition on both sides of the photo for it to fade from one thing to the other. And that eats away at the photo a little bit. That way, if you put a 3-second photo in, after the transition eats a little bit from the front and eats a little bit from the end, now your photo's only on the screen for 1 second. So if you're not going to have any transitions, you're just going to go cold from one photo to another. No need to worry about being any more than 3 seconds on screen. But if you do feel like you'd like your photos to have a transition, I definitely recommend 5 seconds as the sweet spot. Now, watch when I select that photo, a new option appears called Ken Burns enabled. We can opt to have Ken Burns enabled. And so if I click Ken Burns enabled, it will allow me to have a start and stop position for that photo. That's what Ken Burns is all about. I may get this wrong, but I believe Ken Burns was a documentarian, and a lot of the things Ken Burns showed on screen were still photos. And the focus groups were saying that still photos are boring on the screen. Well, Ken Burns created a way of making the photo start in one place and end in another, as if the motion through the photo is telling a story. So here we have my daughter posing with Jedi Master Rey, and I would like it to be a little bit more dramatic than what they have. They have a very subtle movement of the photo. I would like it to be a little bit more dramatic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch to position the beginning. I would like the beginning of this photo to maybe be closer like this. And I'm just doing this with my fingertips right on the screen of the iPad. I'm getting them both in there with their Jedi stance. And then we're going to go to the end of that photo. And yeah, maybe we zoom out on them a bit and get them composed like this. There we go. Now with that done, I get my dramatic. Let's take a look at the dramatic presence of that photo. Here we go. We're going to transition to that photo. Zoomed in nice and close, and then a nice slow pull out, larger image. Cool. I'm going to select that photo and do a little bit more to it. I'm going to check out titles here and maybe just drag a title up over that image just to let them know Jedi Master Rey was in that image. So there I've just selected a title by tapping it in the title selection down there, you know, the 5 that we've been talking about. I just chose pop-up, but there's lots of different ones. Prism, gravity. Gravity might be cool for this. So yeah, there's the text. Wait, gravity, yes. I can choose the font if I want a different font for this regular. Different text styles. This is one of the things I was saying about the complexity. iMovie appears to be quite simple, but there are a lot of menus where if you just dig a little bit, you will find that those features are there. Great. So this looks good to me. I'm gonna go back here. I want to edit that text. Jedi Master Rey. I can move that text. And so let's now take a look. That looks like it's fairly easy to just get some text right on top of that photo there. Let's select that photo again. Maybe a cool filter is in order here. Some of these are pretty aggressive filters, but low tone. I like Blockbuster. We'll do that one. Okay, cool. We are adding media, some titles there, going along nicely. I don't know if I like the transition, right? Let's take a look. It just goes from one to the other. You'll notice that iMovie puts a transition automatically between every clip that I bring in. You can see that little bow tie icon between my clips, and that means there's a transition there. If I'd like to change the transition and make it a little more interesting, I can simply tap that little bow tie icon to bring up the transition selection. In the transition selections down there, you can see that I have different durations to choose from: half a second, 1 second, 1.5, and 2 seconds. I'm going to slow mine down a little bit to, I guess, 1.5 seconds. And then I can choose from a dissolve or a slide or a wipe, but not very many. You'll see that iMovie doesn't have very many transitions, which, by the way, folks, is okay. People love PowerPoint transitions and PowerPoint effects, but they rarely serve any purpose but just doing it because you can do it. I am of the strong belief that editing a video to show an audience is not your opportunity to show off your technical prowess. Let the content be king. Let whatever it is you're showing be what the viewer sees, not a bunch of fancy transitions and swooshy graphics. So that's my strong opinion. Now, there are good reasons to make swooshy graphics and things like that, but usually not for something like this. You want to let your content be the king here. So let's see this fade here. Oh, I like that little wipe. I think that's called. Let me see what other options there are. Slide. Maybe that's cooler. Let's check that out. Yeah, that looks cool. Okay, so let's get some more stuff from here. I'm going to go into my photos and let's see. Oh, we met up with Boba Fett. Dump that in there. And so now here's a picture of us. Again, not cropped the way I would like it. So what I'm going to do is tap on that photo. Selecting that photo allows me to see the Ken Burns enabled banner there right above the clip. So I'm going to start this photo zoomed out, I think, as far as possible. And then I'm going to end this photo zoomed in on our guest here. And let's take a look at that. Cool. And then maybe I'll just add a filter to that. Moral of the story here is that what I've been doing is simply grabbing media, and you may or may not be prepared for that, right? Sometimes when you're editing a composition, you're saying, I've already put all the media I want into an album in photos. I know exactly where to find it. And in that album, I even put it in the order I wanted it. Or you might just be fishing through your library going, I know I got enough, it's my nephew's birthday. I know I've got enough photos of him, and put something together really quick and send off as a happy birthday. So you're going to come at this from all different angles and approaches. And I think what's important is that you remember that, if you're in the middle of a project and you're feeling discouraged because you didn't have enough content, that's okay. That happens. It's just your signal to be cognizant that you need to plan for good content and do a little advanced analysis. Okay, so I wanted to put in the beginning a title here that's like says our trip to Disney or something like that. So what I'm going to do is, that upper right quadrant, I invoke that upper right quadrant by using the plus in the upper right. That brings me the upper right quadrant where I can have access to moments, video, photos, albums, backgrounds, files. I'm going to go to backgrounds here. You can choose to put a background in your image or in your video if you just want a solid background so you can have a section break or something. I'll show you what I mean here by, I'm just going to grab one of these patterns, and it's going to be inserted wherever my playhead is. So I want to put a transition in here. I'll pop that in. And then I have this solid background where I can choose different filters or change out that background, but it's nice for putting text over. So here I might go back in and see, grab where are my titles. Strange. Let's see. Oh, you have to. Okay. Yeah, so sorry, I'll come back to you here, but I was trying to figure out the most linear way to explain, but backgrounds are just something easy to put a title over, but you don't have to have a background for a title. You know, I have an example here. It isn't necessary to have that background. What I'm going to do is put a title right over all this exploding stuff here. So I'm going to select that clip. I'm going to put a title there down at the bottom. I'm going to choose from my 5 selections down there. I'll choose titles. I'll choose one that looks cool. Maybe split. What is that? Cool, I like that. So in my titles here, I'm going to come in here. Say A, and then let's see, I will change the font. Okay, so now we have that as our title. Now there's some of the clips I took the music and sound effects out of, some of them I left them in, but what we're going to do is go to the audio tab here and look for a soundtrack. I don't know, I'll just put that one there, but you can see just like a traditional linear editor, we've now got our audio down at the bottom as a sound bed, and we've got our video clips. Let's just hit play here. Now notice because we chose soundtracks, and that nomenclature is important here. The word soundtracks denotes that it will customize the length of your audio for your video. So if we were to add things here, this soundtrack, as you heard, it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. It will calculate that depending on the length of your video. So you can run a soundtrack down there and it'll figure out what to do and play your music with a nice ending. Now there's sound effects as well that ship right inside of iMovie. And here's one called Applause. What I'd like to do is sort of drop that in here. Is there something cooler? I'm going to drop that in here. You can see from my timeline here, I like this nice, neat look at the timeline. You can see we've dropped in 5 pieces of media, a video at the beginning here, over which we drop some text. It has a transition to another video, which has the crowd cheer sound effect over it. Another transition to a static title page, a sliding transition to a photo, I think I'm going to make this a sliding transition to the next photo. And just so it isn't the same direction, I'm going to change the direction of it. Oh, done. Oh wow, I expanded my. Probably crashed again. Okay, so there it is with titles, music, transitions, crowd. Oh, and a moment ago it crashed, but let me show you how to reverse the transition so they're not both going the same way. I clicked on the transition itself, but every time I tap it, you'll see that it will, let's see. Every time I tap the transition in the selection screen, it'll change. So every time I select it, it changes directions. We're going to go this way with this photo because we went this way and then this way. Okay, yeah, there we go. Now, obviously, you'd spend a Saturday afternoon doing this, getting all the photos the right way. If you decided, oh my gosh, I want that photo closer to the beginning, you can easily hold your finger down on a photo and drag the order around. You want them different. And so you're going to make your composition over the course of time. You may have to do a voiceover, you may have to explain to your audience what's going on here. Let's do a voiceover so we can that in here. I think I'm going to start the voiceover right about here and press my microphone button. It'll give me a count in. Oh, I can't do it because I'm on Zoom. It's using my audio device. But anyway, it'll start recording and you can speak, and then you'll have another sound that you can put right over your editor here, and that'll be your voiceover where you can describe what's going on in the video and that sort of thing. Very similar to what Clips is capable of, but more advanced. So you can see the timelines. You can move things around as you see fit. If you decide you want the crowd cheer to start earlier, you can move these things around. It's very clear, easy, clean. I really like iMovie's interface. It looks basic, but it isn't. Don't let it fool you. There's tons in here that gives you advanced features and it's quite on par with some of the best video editors out there. I showed you DaVinci Resolve earlier because it's very, very complex. It's the opposite strategy of iMovie, but they have very similar capabilities unless you start to get into advanced things. Now here you've spent your Saturday afternoon creating this composition. You've imported photos, videos with sound, videos without sound, put some text over there, some still images as transition screens, audio, voiceover. You've done all this. Amazing job. Now, how do you get it out of your computer and into the hands of your friends and family? And so each one's going to be different. You saw earlier, Clips had the capability of just using share, share, and it would allow you to copy the link or save it to your iCloud drive, or save it to your iCloud drive or whatever, wherever you wanted to save it. With iMovie, it's a little bit different. You're gonna click done when you're ready to export. Right in the upper left-hand corner, I had done. And this takes you to sort of a project summary screen where it's just showing the one project we were just working on. I'm going to change the name of it by tapping the name and just put Pete's Trip Disney 2025. There we go. And now in order to share it, you can see I've got three selections down at the bottom of this particular screen. One is to view it full screen as a preview. So let's just tap that and see what it looks like viewed full screen. Okay, so you've got your preview button there to check it out and watch it in its entirety before you send it out. But then the next selection down at the bottom there is the share sheet. So when we click to share, iMovie gives you some nifty enhancements here when you're sharing. Now, as with most software, there are two ways. When you come to a save point, there are two ways to proceed, right? Whether you're working on a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet, whenever you come to a save point, you can either save the iMovie project and go edit it later because it'll always be saved as an iMovie project, which is great for somebody who wants to work on something over the course of time, right? It's going to take you 6 months to finish this project. So you want to just save it as a project so you can keep getting in, changing it, and getting out. But that's not shareable. So export project would make it so you could export it and so export project would make it so you could export it and then edit the file on your Mac, let's say. If you have an iPad, you like to use your iPad, but then you get to the point where you want to edit the same iMovie file on the Mac, you would use export project. That would bundle all the files together, put them somewhere, and then you could import that into the Mac version, or vice versa. You start out on the Mac, and then you want to go edit this in on the iPad. It isn't just as easy as syncing them. You have to export and then import. So that's what the export project button is for here. But you'll likely use share or save or share video. And that's where if you click that button, you'll get the ability to save it. You can see where it says save video. It's important to know that the save video command saves it right into the Photos application. That's where it goes. Save to files behaves differently, where that will save it in your iCloud drive. So two different outcomes for those two different buttons down at the bottom of this window. One, save video goes right into my Photos app. I can share it like I share any other photo. Or two, save to files where I can share it right to my iCloud drive and then get a link to my iCloud drive and send it out as a link. Because if it's a long video, it's likely going to be a large file size, and trying to email that or text it will likely not work. So once you save the video, you have to have a means for sharing it as well. If it's saved to your camera roll, you could send it out just like it were any other photo or something, but the likelihood of the file size being way too big is very high. It's probably way too large a file size. This would mean that you would want to send people a link to it and not the entire video. Because, you know, for your device to be able to heave it up onto the server via upload, and then for them to be able to bring it down. And if we're talking about 2 gigabytes, it's just prohibitive. So you want to send links in today's world, that's the best way to go. I can show that to you briefly if I might as well. I'm going to do save video. That'll be the first button I click, and that means it's going to export that video to my photos. So when I open up my photos, that's going to be a video in there. And then I'm going to do it the second way, which is save to files. So it's exporting the movie to my, basically we used to call it a camera roll, but now we call it a photo library. And then I'm going to do share or save video, and I'm going to do save to files. This is where it's going to ask me where. Just like any other software, where do you want to save this output video? I'm just going to go iCloud Drive and just save it right in my iCloud Drive. So it's probably going to do the same thing, export. Okay, there we go. Now, if I open my Photos app, there it will be like at the top right up here, and I can click it, and there it is in my Photos application. No longer in iMovie. There it is. I have the sound muted, but I can unmute. So why don't I just share it from here? Well, let's try. So if I hit share and I go to send it to somebody, it's a 31-second video, so it's very small.
Yeah.
A 31-second video will likely share with little or no problem. However, anything longer than a 30-second video is going to come with a large file size, which is difficult to share. So if I open the Files app where we just where we just saved a copy of that video, see, I can open up Files, and there it is. Pete's trip to Disney, right there at the top. So what did we do? We edited a movie in iMovie. We used still photos, videos, audio, text, got it the way we wanted it in iMovie. We exported it in two ways. One way was directly to our camera roll, and the other was into our files. It may be somewhat still confusing to some because we started our iOS journey with no files, right? You couldn't see files. There was only apps. But iOS has evolved, and you now have space provided to you by your iCloud account where you have cloud storage called iCloud Drive. And the way to access what's in that iCloud Drive is an app called Files, which is on all your devices. By default, Files is on your phone, it's on your iPad, and it's part of your Mac because that's how you find things, is clicking around through your folders, right? So I have my video in there now, and I can share that video with a link instead of trying to share the whole thing. So if I say share here, I can. Huh. One moment. I think it's not going to allow me to because it's so small. Let me see. But anyway, sharing a link would be the more appropriate way to share out your video as opposed to trying to send the whole video. Okay. That was a quick run through iMovie, and hopefully you've seen so far the evolution from clips to iMovie. And now we're going to spend a little bit of time in Final Cut Pro. But just think of Final Cut Pro as an evolution from iMovie to the next level.
Pete, real basic question. You're doing all this on your iPad, correct?
Yes.
Is there a reason you're working from your iPad as opposed to the Mac computer?
I guess I'll reveal my cards now, but I have given up a Mac for 2 years now.
Okay.
I've not had a Mac. Now there is an M-powered iMac on my son's desk, and so if I do need an iMac, I'll go use it. But folks, these M-powered iPads, you'd be hard pressed to find something you can do on a Mac that you can't do better on one of these. I just can't figure a reason to buy a MacBook Pro or an iPad or an iMac anymore. I just don't, I can't, there's nothing that Mac OS can do that iOS can't do as well, if not better. So I personally have moved on from traditional laptop format or moved on from Mac OS. I have to stay an expert in it. So I do have, I will always own a Mac with the latest operating system, but I don't use it. My daily carry is this iPad right here. And there's nothing that I challenge people all the time. They say, "Oh, you got your iPad, huh?" They'll make fun of me. My peers at work, they'll say, "Oh, your mom gave you your iPad for work today, huh?" Like, stuff like that. But I'll challenge them. I'll say, There's nothing you can do on your PC or Mac that I can't do better on my iPad. And they'll sit down next to me, determined as heck to find something, and they can't. So I have found plenty of validation in leaving the Mac OS platform altogether. I highly encourage others to do the same. And if you have fears, you're welcome to reach out to me because there are fears to be had, like, wait a minute, is this right for me? Am I doing the right thing? But I think by and large, we've moved past the utility of having a proper desktop class operating system anymore.
I think one of the advantages of the desktop is the size of the screen. That's convenient for many of us.
Yep. I hear that. I hear
Overrise.
that. Don't forget your iPad can be connected to any monitor. And so if you wanted to set your iPad next to an external monitor and use your mouse, iPads can now be used with mice, right? So you can use a mouse and a keyboard with your iPad connected to a monitor. I'm not trying to sell you here. I'm just, you mentioned I like good screen real estate too, but I can just plug it into any monitor. So something to think about if you're considering buying a Mac. You'll if you buy the right iPad, you'll spend nearly as much as a Mac. You will spend nearly as much. I mean, an iPad Pro with the Magic Keyboard and the Apple Pencil Pro, a mouse and an external keyboard, you're talking about $2,400 just for an iPad. But these things are gold. I do not leave the house without my iPad, and there's nothing I can't accomplish with this thing. It's amazing. Okay.
Well, one large advantage, Pete, with iOS for people that don't have computer training or backgrounds is a very simple thing, which iOS does most of the housekeeping. The where to where documents get filed, how to find them, all those background functions. It does a very good job of taking care of the user.
You're talking about iOS, right?
Yes,
Yes.
as compared to the Mac OS, which you got to figure out where you're going to file it. Maybe you got to create a folder the way iOS is sandboxed. You create for example, a Pages document. Where does it get stored? And Pages data. You don't have to go looking for it.
Right. I think it's the future. Apple's known it for a decade that it's the future. I think they're slowly trying to make iOS and macOS the same, so people won't be upset when we move past desktop class operating systems. But yeah, it's an exciting time.
Yeah, with my background is, running help desk for 1,000 users. One of the biggest problems was always the housekeeping functions.
Yeah. Pete,
Oh.
if one's living in two worlds, I have not gotten familiar with Pages enough I mean, I made one document, and it was a long struggle just because not familiar, but I know Windows somewhat enough. And so if you're living in two worlds, going to an iPad more challenging to use all the Windows stuff.
It's a good question. I live in two worlds myself. I have to be for my day job. I'm completely in Windows and Microsoft Office and all that. To be in the Windows world, I don't find either a Mac or an iPad are good tools. With a Mac, you have to emulate the Windows operating system if you want to use it. Windows, and it doesn't emulate very well. It takes up a lot of space on these SSD drives. So what I do is I still have a PC. I have a PC and a Mac. My personal life is all in my iPad. My professional life is all in my PC mostly. And I've learned to do anything I used to do with a Mac on a PC. So I have graphics, software and video editing software, all these things. Now, do I wish they were Mac OS and not Windows? Yes. I think Mac OS is a much smarter operating system. It's much easier to use, but yeah, being in both worlds is tough. Now, you can use Word, Excel, and PowerPoint on a Mac or a PC, and that's probably the best way to be compatible with the Windows world is to use the same software and be able to export and output, from it. But yeah, I just
Hey, Pete, I have a question about getting back to storing iMovie content you generate. Uh, it's only saved in Apple's Move format, right? If you want to send it to someone as an MP4 or something like that, there any issues doing that? Do you have to go through some conversion process with another piece of third-party software or something to accomplish that?
yeah,
Yeah, when you export it.
yeah, exporting is limited in iMovie. There are some options here in terms of resolution, frame rate, and that sort of thing. But yeah, in terms of the output codec and format, it's going to pick Apple's proprietary. However, that's an excuse to upgrade to
Final Cut
Final
Pro.
Cut Pro because now you have complete control over the export and what file format and codec you choose, which can get very complex. A cautionary tale for everybody here. Usually anything you can put in your camera roll, any video can be shared with anybody, and it should work fine from iMovie, I mean. But yeah, there are some, mostly legacy things where a Windows user will tell you I couldn't run that movie or whatever, but I think it's mostly universal in today's world. These formats are very compatible with one another, but yeah, you do not get control over what the output format is in iMovie, where next year we'll get into Final Cut Pro, you do get that. So. Okay, so hopefully you've seen the evolution. We were in the Clips app. We went to iMovie. It was a little bit more complex than Clips, but better capability. And now we get into Final Cut Pro, and Final Cut Pro is just an extremely robust. I do a lot of professional work on Final Cut Pro. Here's one I had for a client. This was they have an Airbnb, and so they asked me to come out and shoot footage with my drone and to put something together for an advertisement. I chose Final Cut Pro, but you can see here. Tennessee, you can get nice in Tennessee. Lovely. But they wanted to showcase their Airbnb. I chose this format. I chose Final Cut Pro because I knew I would have the most freedom in terms of what files I can import and export, how I could stack them, different colorization utilities that exist in Final Cut Pro. So I'll briefly go over the similarities of Final Cut Pro and iMovie, but I'll more want to lean into what makes it different than. And then let's see, what was this? Okay. The first thing is that when I start a new project in Final Cut Pro, I get the ability to make the format how I want it. I can start in a custom format. So in iMovie, you saw when we started a project, it took any of the video we shot in portrait, which is, upright video, it just took that and centered it in the frame. It didn't do any type of work in, cropping or anything like that. But here we can decide we want to start with portrait. We can say, you know what, give me the portrait. I want to make this for social media. You saw earlier, I showed you an example of a TikTok that I made as an assignment for myself and my team. My team creates training content for HP, and a lot of our training content is landscape 16:9 training content. But what we're discovering is people just don't learn that way. They just don't learn from a talking head in long form content. They learn in more brief chunks. That's why you see reels on Instagram and shorts on YouTube, and TikToks are very short. It's because that's how the generation is learning. We're now interacting with a generation of people who was raised by iPads, right? Their parents handed them iPads and they're basically raised like that. So what we're trying to do is lean into and embrace the format that the generations are embracing today. And they've made it perfectly clear that having their phone upright is the preferred position. They like to have it in portrait mode, and that's how they watch things, and they scroll through and they like very short snippets. Well, if you're putting something on Instagram Reels or you're putting something on your social media, this is where you can now change to portrait and have, those timeline settings as you go into your project. So I'm just going to say, yes, let's do a portrait project. And then it gives you these 4 ways to get started. Record with a camera, record with live multicam, import from photos, and import from files. So different ways we can import our content. I'm just going to click blank project. And here's where we'll see some similarities to iMovie. You can see here, just like iMovie, there is a timeline across the bottom where our project will build out. You'll see there's the viewer up here where we see the portrait video. The black shadow there is going to be our portrait video. And that so far we have no media. These are some similarities between iMovie and Final Cut Pro, but I'll just sort of pause right there and talk about what is not similar. And one of the things that is not similar is some of the great interface features. Like, for instance, Final Cut Pro has this jog wheel that you can invoke on the side of the screen. And that jog wheel can be moved around and repositioned kind of where it's comfortable for you. But that jog wheel can be several different things. Here I can move the playhead, and the jog wheel is sensitive to the speed of my thumb. So if I want to get back to the beginning or back to the end really fast, I can just swipe quickly. But if I want to go frame by frame, I can just go slowly here. So this jog wheel has been an incredible addition to my video editing workflow. I just want to show you this also, that some of us video editors actually use a standalone piece of hardware that looks like this. And this stays on my desk, and I use the knob to move the playhead around. So this piece of hardware is strictly dedicated to video editing. But will be that jog wheel for me. This one is an on-screen jog wheel, but that one exists in real life. All video editors have a jog wheel to get that timeline moving. So that's a big difference. In iMovie, you don't get the benefit of an on-screen jog wheel here. You can move that jog wheel anywhere you want on the screen. Again, what's comfortable for you, left-handed, right-handed, up, down, wherever you like to have it. You can make it disappear altogether as well, but I keep it on there. Another very big difference between this and iMovie is there is a companion app to Final Cut Pro. So you've got Final Cut Pro, which is the editor on your device. Whether you have Final Cut Pro on your Mac with Mac OS or whether you have it on your iPad with iPad OS, there's a secondary app called Final Cut Camera. And what Final Cut Camera will do is interface with Final Cut Pro. So I'm going to launch Final Cut Camera on my phone here. And then in Final Cut Pro, I'm going to go to Multicam, and I'm going to be able to bring in my Final Cut Pro camera that I have here I can bring that in right into my multicam shooting. So it's going to discover, it's looking for my phone now. Oh, did I make this discoverable? I don't have connected it yet. Let me see preferences.
Phone sleeping?
What's that?
Is your phone asleep at the moment?
No, I am trying to make it discoverable.
Yeah, I know. That's
So
Bluetooth sometimes depends on the app. Sometimes it doesn't find a device when it's in sleep mode.
aha.
So
Nope, it's definitely not. Let's see. Automatically connect. Device.
Oh, that's an iPad.
And what you can do here is, let me just add, what you do here is you can hook up any phone that has the Final Cut Companion app to it. And what that allows you to do then is you can use your phone as a camera. You can set it up on a tripod and you can do editing here. It's a somewhat advanced feature. I won't spend any more time on it because it looks like it's not connecting due to Zoom. But one of the great things about it is you can do live projects where cameras are set up and you can control all of them from one place. You can control from the iPad. My son and I want to try a podcast, and we decided that's what we'll do. We'll sit at the table over here. We'll set up our phones as Final Cut cameras, and I'll be able to control the audio and stuff from here. A very advanced feature, but one that content creators are going crazy for. So if you are serious about content creation, another reason why to pay the subscription for Final Cut Pro is to have that multicam capability live, but also in the editing later, you have multicam editing, which they make it really simple. What they do is play all the clips together and you just tap on the one you'd like to see in the edit. Very advanced feature, but something very cool to graduate to if you are an avid content creator. Some of the other differences of Final Cut Pro are things like being able to export to different formats. And that's something let's take a look at in sharing. First of all, just talking about sharing out, here you can do video or audio only. You can just share out the audio. Sometimes people do that and they'll splice it later because it's two different devices. But let me go to one that has media on it. Let's see, edit this one. And then if I here share video. Now here's where you get that huge menu of different codecs and options, something you won't find in a consumer level type of editor like iMovie or Clips. This is professional level export, meaning that you can. There's even a button here that says social platforms. It has the widest range of compatibility for devices. You can include, you can change the video codec. There's tons to choose from. I don't know tons about these. I know H.264 and I know some stuff about ProRes. You can change the resolution here. You can change the file type from MP4. The color space can be changed if you don't want SDR or HDR. So it's another example of how these things, what you get when you go with that more expensive version in Final Cut Pro. There is also in Final Cut Pro, just the last thing, and then I'll wrap it up for questions. But in Final Cut Pro, just like iMovie, you're going to arrange photos, videos, audio, titles. You'll arrange those all on the timeline, just like we saw with iMovie. It all works very similarly. But you just have much more robust choices in terms of the effects that you can apply. There's audio effects and video effects, tons and tons of them packed in here. As you'll see here in iMovie, we had, I think, 3 or 4 different transitions to choose from. Here, there's just a ton of different transitions that you can drag into your project. Some very advanced ones, very cool, interesting storytelling type of transitions. You've got titles, which again, unlike iMovie, there is tons of different titles here. So if you're on an iPad and you're an aspiring content creator for $50 a year, that's per year. I think it's a pretty compelling deal. These are amazing. These are all graphic generators. And if you watch, I'll play one of these graphic generators like this Aurora one here. Once you select the graphic generator and you put it on your timeline, it has even more features. Once you select it, you can edit the features of the generator. So you can, let's see if I can pull it up here. So you can look at the, here it is, generated image, and then there are going to be options. Let me see, inspect here. You can go in and change the color scheme and some of the options here. Move it around, enlarge it. These are things that are available in Final Cut Pro that you won't find in other editors. So I think lots of good reasons to graduate if you're an aspiring content creator. Color correction is another one. Like these videos are highly color corrected to sort of honor the fall motif. But you can see a video like this has some professional color color adjustments added to it. You can see these menus. I would not dare confuse you with how deep they go, but these menus just, you see how deep they are and you see how wide they go, how many different things you can control. It's really quite remarkable if you're an aspiring content creator. Once you dig in here, the astonishing capabilities that this professional editor for $50 a year brings. It's pretty amazing.
Hey, Pete, on your Stillwater video there, it doesn't seem like you have many transitions. You just go clip to clip to clip. Is that a more trending thing now?
Yes. Yep. I liked it for that reason. Just sort of, yeah. Especially landscape like this, where you're showing, you're showing landscape and the content is king. You don't need transitions. You just really want to show off the full amenities and stuff. But yeah, transitions are just as easy as grabbing it from here. Drag it, drop it where you want the transition to be. And I can zoom in on this to make adjustments to that little transition. Make it a longer transition.
On the Mac OS version, sometimes the transitions don't fit between two clips.
Yeah, that's so irritating. But yeah, sometimes there's not enough meat on the bone for a clip to be selected, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's too far, so yeah, I've seen that
small.
sometimes too. It can be infuriating sometimes where you're like, no, but you have to somehow have more of the clip. Now, I want to show you a little thing here while we have a second along those lines, because sometimes if you are a slideshow person, if that is what you are trying to do here is make slideshows and you're trying to bring them to life, I'd be remiss if I didn't show you this amazing feature that is in Midjourney. Let me see. I am in Midjourney now, which is an AI. Let me explain that to you here. Let me just share my screen so you can see it. Okay, I am in Midjourney, and Midjourney is one of many of today's AI branded utilities. You can use ChatGPT, which is a large language model. It does generate images, but you can also use Perplexity, which is really good at math. You can use Copilot. There's lots of different ways to interface with AI today. I am a subscriber to Midjourney. It costs me $40 a month, but I do have a tab where I am creating marketing materials for my job and stuff like that. But one of them was a slideshow that I was making, and they asked me to bring some of the still images to life. So this here is a still image, but I uploaded it into AI and it was able to create all this motion as though it were a video. All I had was a still. And it made this short video clip out of a still. This is AI in Midjourney. And there was another one. I think I have another one a little further down. Oh yeah. Oh, here's another more scary example, but this is a still image, my profile image. I loaded it into Midjourney and it created all this movement that doesn't really exist. Some of it's kind of frightening, but yeah, that interesting stuff. But here's another still image that I was able to animate. So if you are somebody who is working on their big project, you're trying to get family photos or something, you can bring them to life easily. I should show you how easy it is to do it. You just hit upload, but it'll bring your still photo to life. And so in the case, like you mentioned, where it's telling you there's not enough photo to make your transition any longer because you'll run out of photo, well, you can extend a photo or even bring it to life with a utility like this. Midjourney.com will get you there, and I think I pay $40 a month for Midjourney for now. I turn off my subscription when I don't need it, but as you can see from this gallery, these are all videos that people made with a prompt. None of these are real. This is not a real woman. This is just all AI videos that somebody put a prompt in, and out came this video. In fact, let's try it. A phone that doubles as a hoverboard. Oh boy, that's weird. Okay, and then back in my create tab, it should be making me videos of a phone that doubles as a hoverboard. Strange request, but you can see it's completing the request. But again, if you were making a video and you had this subscription, you could, tune in here and get little video clips of whatever you can imagine. As you can see, people are generating crazy things here in AI. So, okay, I just wanted to show you that because if you are making a slideshow and you are trying to put things together and you have even loved ones who aren't around anymore, but you have a picture of them, you could upload that into the AI and have them moving and basically bring some more, interest to the slideshow. But thought I would leave 9 minutes here for some questions or recap or Q&A, current events, whatever you'd like to do, but wanted to make sure I didn't leave without some time for questions.
Who has a question, statement, or declaration?
Usually at this point, people are like, I don't want to edit a darn video anyway. I quit.
Hey, Pete, Pete, you mentioned the YouTube strike on an audio. I submitted a nice video of Antarctica, and there were no copyrights whatsoever. And when I uploaded it, about 3 months later, I got a strike. So what do I do? Do I have to take it down?
Yeah, they might have already taken it down.
No, it's not.
Then you're
Did they tell
clear.
you? Well, if it's not down, then maybe they just muted the audio because
Okay.
that's the second thing they'll do is they'll go into your view video and take out the offending audio without even telling you. Sometimes, you don't even know.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, the moral of the story is that no commercial work is usable at all. So even if you have a favorite song, but it's from 50 years ago, and come on, nobody cares, it'll get stricken by Facebook. It'll get stricken by YouTube. It's strictly taboo to upload anything that you did not create or that it isn't royalty free, which Apple does provide you with quite a few royalty free items. I think.
I use Epidemic Sound a fair amount, and they're royalty free. But
Yeah.
every now and then, something happens.
Yeah, good. That's a good one. There's lots out there, free audio, SoundCloud or, there's all kinds of different places to look. I highly recommend if you are often looking for resources like that, Envato Elements, ENVATO, Envato Elements. For $150 a year is what I pay. I get access to vector files, audio files, video clips for B-roll, all like if you're making a video about the fall season, you can go to your Envato Elements account and see a bunch of videos that are fall related and download those and use them in your project. So yeah, I often find myself going to external websites like that for support in my content because you do want B-roll sometimes, if you're doing a narrative, you want video playing under the narrative. And sometimes I just don't have a clip of heavy traffic, and so I'll go to Envato Elements and find a free clip. Pixabay, Pixabay is another one where you can find videos and images to use royalty free. So yeah, there's a lot of websites out there that will provide some of these resources to you as needed.
Keith? Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Forgive me. Keith, you're up. Thought we had wrapped that.
Yeah, I rarely create videos with I take a lot of photographs, rarely create videos, but I do create a lot of slideshows. And I want to be able to change the duration of the length of each slide and add captions to them. And I always use 16:9 ratio. Do you have any recommendations for a Mac compatible slideshow creator?
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a misnomer, Keith, but you are creating videos when you create a slideshow.
Okay.
A slideshow is a video. And so I think you would be probably a perfect candidate for iMovie. It's not
really?
extreme. Yeah, it's not extremely complex. It's very good with slides where you just access your photo app. You pull in whatever slides you want. And I highly recommend that before you make a slideshow, you make an album in your Photos app and you put all the resources you're going to use in the slideshow in that album, any photos, any videos. And then that way, when you're in iMovie and it's time to go fetch the photos you need, you can bring in a whole album into iMovie. But yeah, iMovie's perfect for what you do, Keith, probably because it has the Ken Burns effect where you can have a photo start zoomed out and then zoom in on somebody you want to highlight. You can put music, captions. I think iMovie is ideal for you as a slideshow maker because there is I don't know if you guys remember 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, it was something called Kai's Power Show. Do you remember Kai's Power Show? It was the way to make slideshows back then. And it was a little deceptive because it looked like just a bunch of pictures getting smushed together, but it was really a video editor that was friendly for still images. There's PowerPoint, that's you could or Keynote, but I think for creative control and ease of use, iMovie is going to be your sweet spot. I would start making slideshows in iMovie.
Okay, thank you for the comment. I used something called ProShow Go for a good number of years, but it was a Windows-only computer compatible, and I had a laptop and a screen with Windows that I just used for slideshows. But that went out of business about 6 years ago, so I've been searching for one since then. So I will try iMovie. I hadn't thought about that.
I think you'll like it. Yeah, just get used to the durations and the transitions and stuff. And yeah, slideshow friendly. I think you'll like it. Of
All right. Thank you very much for the tip.
course, you're welcome. Hi, Donna.
Hi, the Clips app isn't available anymore in the App Store or on my Mac, for my
Hmm.
Mac. Is there something else that would work?
The Clips app is in there. I mean, I just downloaded it for my device the other day. Let me
How old is
see.
your computer?
No, it's new. It's recent.
Oh, okay.
But you were on an iPad, and the Mac doesn't always run the same apps as the iPad.
Oh yeah, yeah. Clips may be iOS only.
I believe
Let
it
me.
is.
Yeah, Clips may be. Let me see. Clips.
But it's not available on my Mac Air either.
Oh no,
Or
it
Mac.
is available for Mac. Yeah,
Is
I'm
it?
looking at it right now. Let's see. App Store. It says Clips is a free app for making fun videos to share with friends and family. Mac, iPad, iPhone, Apple Watch, Apple Vision Pro. I guess. Let me see. Oh, Clips. You might be getting it confused with. There's a bunch of other things called Clips.
They only come up
Not
with
on my
iMovie
Mac.
and then these little other little bit clip things, but the actually Clips.
Bob, are you running it on your Mac?
It's not on the Mac.
Okay, so it is not available for the
As
Mac.
far as I know, I I always thought it was iOS only, but I could be wrong.
Yes,
I'm
it
on
is.
I'm on a Air and it's not coming up in my.
On the iOS devices, it comes as part of the uh, Apple apps that automatically come in when
Oh,
you.
load. Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah, I'm just double checking now. It would make sense if it's oh yeah, it says the Clips app is not available on macOS. It's a free mobile only video editing app for iPhone and iPad. So if
Okay.
besides the other thing I would say though is if you told me you were going to do your work on a Mac, I would not recommend Clips anyway, even if it was available, just because of the screen real estate and the ability to use your keyboard and mouse. I really highly recommend iMovie for that.
Okay. Good. And
Maybe we'll get
what?
lucky. They finally add a journal. The journal app is coming in to the Mac with the Tahoe update.
Uh,
Yeah,
Because it
maybe
had
we'll
been
get Clips too.
iOS only. So maybe we'll get lucky with Clips.
And what format did Clips save in? What
Dot .mov.
was it? iMovie or was it dot movie?
Yeah, dot .mov.
MOV? Yeah, okay. All righty. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think we're at the end of our time. I'm happy to stick around if there's any more questions, but also happy to go find a sandwich.
Pete, thanks for, one of the members requested we do something on iMovie, so you did a great job and thanks a lot. I didn't know we needed it, so which is always a fun way to go.
Yeah,
Thank
it'd be nice
you.
if we could do a
Thanks.
project together, like have all the same clips and we're putting them all on the timeline together and you're seeing how things work. I miss those days we're able to do stuff like that. But thank you
Yeah.
for having me. Please keep the suggestions coming for the next time we meet. Always happy to cover whatever it is you're looking to cover.
So
Thank
yeah,
you,
if
Pete.
any of you have suggestions, let Bob or I know, and we'll try to arrange speakers appropriately. Hey,
Tell them
thanks.
you want Pete, not speakers. All
That's
right.
Oh,
it.
sorry,
That's
sorry,
it.
Pete.
All right. We'll see you
Fair
later.
enough.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for joining us for the meeting today, and I will see you at the general meeting in a few weeks. Woohoo, woohoo. Any questions, statements, or declarations? Board members, I guess I'll see you at what time?
Uh,
One
one
up,
of,
straight
yeah,
up, or
one up.
okay,
I'm good with one.
okay.
Yeah.
Anybody got want to deviate
Attend.
from
Yeah.
that? Yeah. All right. And anyone like to attend? It's the same link, and you don't have to be a board member to watch us do our magic. Ha 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 ha. All right. See you all soon. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Ciao.